Hey everyone, my name's Arin the Wolf, and about 2 years ago, I looked at the original LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. It's one of my favorite games of all time due to how the levels are designed, the charming tongue-in-cheek humor, and how much the game truly makes you feel like you're playing through these films. It certainly was quite the way to be introduced to the massive world of Star Wars, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Over the last few years, LEGO games have been on a steep decline in quality. Most of them are overloaded with levels that go on forever just to try and justify selling their games for $60. I think the last LEGO game I played was Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now that Skywalker Saga is out, this game is completely worthless. But yeah, it's safe to say I'm not exactly a fan of the direction LEGO games have taken recently, so I was worried about the Skywalker Saga when it was announced. Having to juggle 9 different films all at once didn't sound like a good idea with the way the games were made nowadays. Regardless, I waited for it to come out in 2022 finally, played through all 9 films, and what do I think of it? Well, it's complicated. In terms of comparing it to other modern LEGO games like Incredibles and Avengers, it's a significant step up in terms of how it handles the film's overarching narrative. However, I also feel this has many of the same problems LEGO games have had for a while. But before I get into specific details, I do want to briefly discuss what I actually liked about the game. With that said, I'm Arin the Wolf, and this is the Skywalker Saga and the problems with modern LEGO games. First off, can I just say that this game looks beautiful? I mean, goddamn, the graphics are easily the best of any LEGO game to date. The amount of detail they put into the minifigures to the point where they have realistic scuffs and marks as they would in real life, and even have LEGO branding on them, is great attention to detail. It says a lot when you can see every sand particle that touches the ground or the character. You can tell they put their blood, sweat, and tears into this game. I also gotta give them credit. The different worlds you explore are all vibrant and unique from one another. The many NPCs walking around also help sell the idea that people inhabit most of these worlds. Granted, in previous LEGO Star Wars games, NPCs were roaming around Mos Eisley's cantina, but most of them were just the characters you unlocked. Here, each of the NPCs feels unique to the planet they roam, which is nice to see. As far as the pacing is concerned, it's nowhere near as stretched out as the previous games. With games like LEGO Avengers and Incredibles, since they only had 2 movies to work with, they had to pad them out as much as possible to try and justify the price tag. In Skywalker Saga, each film will only take you about 2 hours at most to finish. Now, this faster pacing comes with its own issues, but we'll get to that soon enough. The next thing to mention is the combat. The combat of LEGO games has never really been the focus. I mean, have you ever actually tried punching a LEGO? It's unpleasant. Most of the time, you just mash the attack button to kill the enemies quickly. Sure, they may throw in an extra move, but the combat was never the focus. This was good enough for a while, but it was starting to grow stale after 15 years of LEGO games. Skywalker Saga decides to revamp the combat into something a bit more action-oriented. Not only do you have your standard attack as usual, but you can also chuck people into the air to keep the combo going, full-on Devil May Cry style. You can also throw your lightsaber at enemies, block incoming attacks, and use the Force to throw objects at enemies. As far as deflecting blaster bolts at enemies, I don't think it really works in this game, unfortunately. Mace Windu is gonna be pissed about this. I can't recall a single time I deflected enemy shots back at them, which is a shame since it was one of my favorite things to do in the complete saga. Oh yeah, the combos! There is now a combo system in this game that earns you more and more studs the higher the combo goes. Sure, it can sometimes get repetitive, but considering that this is such a breath of fresh air for the series, I honestly don't mind, and those moments where you're blocking a boss's flurry of attacks are so cool, man. The last thing I want to mention is the voice acting. When the complete saga came out, the voice acting was not a thing in the series yet. As such, they had to pantomime everything that happens in the story, which, honestly, it makes the cutscenes so much more memorable because they can convey so much information in a way that anyone, regardless of language, can enjoy. Skywalker Saga brings the voice actors from Star Wars The Clone Wars into it, and as such, the voice acting for the prequels is pretty spot on. James Arnold Taylor still does a great sound-alike of Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Also, I just want to mention that this is likely Tom Kane's last role in the game, as he retired after having a stroke that messed up his voice. We'll miss you, man. The voice acting for the original trilogy is also really strong. In particular, Princess Leia's voice actress is a highlight of the game, so much so that she even does a fake British accent at the start of A New Hope and then drops it halfway through, just like in the actual film. Now, I don't know if this was a choice she made on her own or if it was just the direction, but that is some insane attention to detail. Attention to detail? Like a Lego set? The voice acting for the sequel trilogy is okay. The voice actors do a decent job here, except for Kylo Ren's voice. I don't know what happened here. Adam Driver's voice is distinctively lower than most of the other actors in this franchise, but this game's VA for Kylo Ren sounds like a Family Guy parody of him.
You're my guest. I know you've seen the map, and now you'll give it to me. Give me the map! You need a teacher. I can show you the ways of the Force.
I don't get it. That's about where my compliments end, unfortunately. The rest of the video will be dedicated to what I think is raw with most LEGO games nowadays, which, unfortunately, are still present in Skywalker Saga. Such as... In previous LEGO games, since they often did not have many films to work with, they would pad out certain parts of the story so that they could get as much content out of it as possible. I've already mentioned these examples in the last LEGO Star Wars video, but it bears repeating. In LEGO Avengers, there's an entire section of the game dedicated just to when the Avengers first arrive on the helicarrier and we have to help the workers fix things for them. Why? Why would the Avengers need to worry about that? Are there Infinity Stones on deck? What does this add to the game except to waste your time? In LEGO Incredibles, there's an entire level dedicated to Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl catching this one criminal, which in the film is taken out with no problem. Look, if you're gonna make a level out of a specific part of the film, don't pick a moment so minuscule that there's nothing else worth adding. Hell, the criminal wasn't even the focus of the scene. That scene was for establishing the relationship between the two superheroes, so this level is ultimately pointless. Even in LEGO Force Awakens, there's a level that's just the characters preparing to go to Starkiller Base and having to find Wookiee cookies. What? Why are we even focusing on this one small scene? It makes no sense. Then again, it could have been worse. We could have gotten LEGO versions of holiday special scenes with the Wookiees. But yeah, you get the point. A lot of the levels in LEGO games recently have felt like a huge waste of time. LEGO Skywalker Saga, on the other hand, has the opposite problem. Some parts of the game go by way too fast. In A New Hope, Luke getting his new lightsaber, the full Leia message, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru dying, and Binary Sunset all happen in the span of a minute. I understand that the game has 9 stories to tell, but there is a thing as too fast in a story. I don't know, I feel like it's the most apparent in the original trilogy as those films took the time they needed to tell their stories, but that's just me. While I do appreciate that it doesn't waste your time nearly as much as the previous games, the game as a whole feels like it's going too fast sometimes. Now, another problem I was going to mention is how out of place the humor was in a lot of modern LEGO games, but Skywalker Saga, for the most part, keeps the humor at least semi-relevant to what's happening in the story. Unlike in Avengers, where they just had Bruce Banner balancing on a ball with a fish on his nose for whatever reason. Thankfully, Skywalker Saga knows when to put in visual gags. Now, the pacing isn't my only issue with this game. There's also the case of collectibles have always been a staple in the LEGO games series. It's part of the reason these games have so much replay value. Whether it's gold bricks, hidden characters, red bricks, and so on and so forth, there's always something to find in every level. Skywalker Saga is no exception to this, except it takes it one step too far. In the original complete saga, there were 160 gold bricks to find in total, which I'd say is perfectly reasonable for not only a game, but also a month or two of rent in Los Angeles. Wait, what? You can earn up to 3 gold bricks for each level you complete. Each film has 6 levels in each, there are 6 films, do the math. Obviously, this means there's going to be more collectibles when there are 9 films to play through, but guess how many gold bricks, or Kyber bricks in this game's case, they decided to put in? 1,166 Kyber bricks, nearly 10 times as many as there were in the complete saga. That is just too much to collect in a game like this. Granted, Skywalker Saga has 45 levels in total as opposed to complete Saga's 36, but that's only about 250 Kyber bricks, or 21% of all bricks from the main story. The rest of them are scattered across the different planets you explore. All 24 of them! Meaning that even after you finish the main story first, you'd be spending hours upon hours upon hours just searching for these damn things. These Kyber bricks are like the Riddler trophies in the Batman Arkham games. They're not that difficult to find, they're just everywhere. Not just everywhere, but they're irritating, rough, and coarse. Wait, damn it, DGil! They pretty much made the gold bricks sand. Oh, come on! I eventually just gave up on searching for them. It would just take too damn long, and I'm pretty sure you don't even get anything for it anyway. LEGO games have always had a lot of stuff to collect, but Skywalker Saga takes it to such an extreme that I can't even bother with it. But as bad as finding all these bricks is, it doesn't even come close to my biggest problem with the modern games, which is good God, this is what I've been waiting to talk about for so long. For some reason, recent games in the series simply refuse to kill off any character, regardless of how brutal the death in question really was. Oh, Jango Fett wasn't really decapitated. No, he was just trampled by a whole bunch of animals and had a freaking ship drum on him. LOL. Actually, the more I think about it, that's far more painful than getting his head cut off. Good lord. But yeah, the only 3 times I can think of where a character legitimately dies are Qui-Gon Jinn in Episode 1, Obi-Wan Kenobi in Episode 4, and Darth Vader in Episode 6. Every other death either happens off-screen, like Count Dooku's death, or they just get beat up really badly, like Jango Fett's death, or Maul's death in the canon trilogy. The more I think about it, Skywalker Saga isn't that bad with how it treats death in the series, but LEGO Jurassic Park and Incredibles? Oh! These games honestly handle character deaths the worst. Jurassic Park is not exactly a G-rated franchise, I get that. Still though, having virtually no characters get killed by dinosaurs just betrays the overall tone of the series. Dinosaurs eat people. Stop giving kids the wrong idea. Kids need to live in fear of plastic toy dinosaurs, damn it! But of course, my hatred for the no-killing rule can all be traced back to the one specific moment from LEGO Incredibles.
You win. I'm going into hiding. You should pay your babysitters more.
What the frick is this?
Oh boy. By this point, I had already grown fatigued from LEGO games, but this single moment just pissed me off. Syndrome's whole reason for kidnapping Jack-Jack was to get back at the Incredibles for taking away his future. Also, he's going into hiding? What are you talking about? Considering that Syndrome's death isn't explicitly shown in the film itself, but we can still see that he died, this one line is really fucking stupid. Go into hiding? He's been on a secret island for 15 years. He's not going into hiding. Oh yeah, also Syndrome literally says this after he finds out Jack-Jack's powers.
This isn't the end of it! I will get your son eventually! I'll get your son!
So yeah, because of the no-killing rule, this change makes no goddamn sense. You could argue that because these games are made for kids, they can't show deaths like these, but that's bullcrap because 1, Disney films rated G show characters dying regularly, so that argument doesn't work. And 2, Vitruvius literally gets decapitated in LEGO's own theatrical film. So no, there is no excuse. The people making these games are simply cowards. I care so much about a change like this because having no death whatsoever kind of goes against the tone of many of these films. This will be the last thing I say about this, but you're probably wondering why I want LEGO to take some moments seriously. Aren't they just supposed to be wacky slapstick comedies? Well, first of all, kids are not dumb. They know a serious moment when they see one, but that's an entirely different topic. Second, the complete saga had a lot of funny visual gags, sure, but since there was no voice acting, they chose to treat most dramatic scenes with dignity. They cared about conveying the story in a way anyone could enjoy. Kids, adults, everyone. And need I mention that Complete Saga came out 15 years prior to Skywalker Saga? So yeah, that's why I care so much about the no killing rule. It's dumb, it goes against the tone of these films, and frankly, kids deserve not to be looked down upon like this. LEGO games, and LEGO in general, were part of my childhood, and I'll always love building them whenever I get the chance. That said, I think it's safe to say that I won't be playing any more LEGO games anytime soon. Even with the changes made in Skywalker Saga, they have just gotten so repetitive to the point where every game feels the same. I understand that I'm not exactly the demographic for this game, but at the same time, I don't think LEGO games should be enjoyable to only kids. LEGO has been something that anyone of any age can enjoy just from how charming and simple it is. So it makes no sense why LEGO would make their games only enjoyable for kids. This isn't even going into a lot of my other problems with Skywalker Saga specifically, like having no custom characters whatsoever. It's one of my favorite parts of LEGO games, and they just removed it. Like, why? You're limiting your audience's creativity, which goes against what LEGO stands for. Kind of says a lot that I could build my own uniquely printed minifigure on LEGO.com right now, but this function in-game has been trimmed down to find more damned Kyber bricks. But all in all, while I did enjoy my time with Skywalker Saga as a whole, it's not a game I'm revisiting anytime soon. I could go back and replay Complete Saga any day, just because I think it's the better game as a package. Meanwhile, Skywalker Saga is just gonna collect dust on my shelf. That said, I'm Arin the Wolf, and I hope you all have a good one. Stay strong, and live life.